If you're going on a camping trip or you're wondering how those normally go, I'll show you our biggest mistakes while planning our trip and the parts that we actually nailed it. Let's take a look at the expectation versus reality on planning our first camping trip. In September 2024, we adventured ourselves to Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Park. And you would think that since it's our first trip, we would take things slow and take the easiest route, but you thought wrong. We actually didn't do that. Your girl was an overachiever when I sat down in front of the computer and I wrote down our planning and especially our time frames. I'll start off with the 4 things that we nailed it during the trip and during the planning process, and then we'll go over the mistakes that we've made that I wish I knew before going into this trip. First thing that we did right was to research a lot. We watched a lot of YouTube videos, we checked all trails, we checked Google, Instagram, TikTok, and all of those platforms are really good so you can learn more about the place you're going, but mainly for the views. And then we're gonna go into that and the mistakes. Researching is really good, and we did that, and we actually nailed the places that we went according to the views that we wanted to see. Number 2, planning each individual day so we could keep track of our expenses, and that helped us out not to overspend on unnecessary things. So we try to stay committed with the budget that we had previously set before our trip. Number 3, the best thing we did for this trip was to create an itinerary, and we did a Word document and then we transform into a PDF. This is very important for 2 main reasons. Number 1, when you park in any parking lot at a national park, it is really good to have your itinerary on your dashboard so people that pass by, they can know where you're planning to be at certain times of the day. So in case they see your car and at that day and that time you were not supposed to be there, maybe they will be worried and be like, well, maybe they need help or something happened to them. So that's very helpful, but at the same time, try to keep on the schedule that you made so people don't get worried unnecessarily because you're at one place and you should be at one other, but you're actually fine. Number 2, this is really important to give out to family and friends because at national parks, most of the times you're not gonna have service. And this is a little tough when your parents are trying to communicate and see if you've been eaten by a bear. And I'm not kidding, my mom texted me a couple times asking me where I was, and she kept texting me saying like, I don't want to chat, can you just tell me that you're alive? And I didn't have service. So this itinerary is very helpful to send out to parents. They probably will worry anyway, family and friends, parents, they will worry maybe, but it's good to give out because it's at least a precaution and helps them be a little more calm knowing where you're gonna be at which time of the day. And a little observation on this topic, if you have a satellite phone or a Garmin, then you don't have to worry too much about the communication with other people because the Garmin, you can communicate even if you don't have the service because it works via satellite. We really wish we had that one, but we didn't invest in one yet. Number 4, we thought about every single meal we were going to have on the trip. So we made the itinerary and then we thought about every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner, and then we bought food accordingly to those meals that we were gonna have. And another thing that is important, even if you have 7 days that you're gonna spend or you're gonna have 3 meals, that's it. Buy an extra one just in case, because you never know what's gonna happen if you're gonna be stuck in the trail, if you're gonna spend another extra day or another morning, if it's gonna take you longer to leave the trail. So it is very good to have extra food, and we did bring a lot of snacks to counterbalance that, and we always brought an extra meal for every trail that we went on. So if we were gonna eat 3 meals in one trail, we always brought 4. Number 5, and the last thing that I wanted to mention for you guys that we really nailed it before we start talking about the mistakes, was taking advantage of all the sales that REI, Backcountry, and all those stores run throughout the year. There's an annual sale at REI. They normally run it like in the middle of the year. There's Black Friday, there's Christmas sales, like end of season sales. There's so many sales going on, and it's awesome for you guys to check those websites and also subscribes to their newsletter and marketing emails, because they always are gonna send you like, hey, you can get 60% discount this week on those items, and maybe you've been holding off because that item was expensive and now it's 60% off. So it's really cool to have that in mind, so you don't overspend and you don't spend all your budget in an item that next week is going to be 60% off. And another note for that is that Facebook Marketplace is amazing for those things. I bought my backpack. We did buy our tent, and our tent was $100 if it's 2 people, and originally the price was $350, and the person didn't really use a tent. And also the backpack, it was an Osprey, and I think I paid like $50 or $75. So the deals on Facebook Marketplace are really good if you know how to look for them and you're patient with it. So I would definitely recommend for you to like keep scrolling, keep searching there, and maybe you'll find something really cheap that is in really good condition. Now that we got over the things that we nailed during our trip, let's dive into the mistakes and the things that I wish we knew before going into this trip. First thing is not considering anything going wrong whatsoever. I had the itinerary planned out minute by minute, and I didn't consider any breaks that we were gonna take, anything going wrong, honestly, or traffic. I was just like, we're gonna hit all those things and nothing is gonna go wrong. If you're an overachiever and you don't really care about not doing those things, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Make the itinerary the way you like it, and if you don't get to everything, you don't get to everything. That's the way that I do it. I don't stress out too much if I don't get to all the things I've planned out. But if you're someone that you don't like to have your expectations not met, you would not like to do the thing that I did, because we did skip some things and it was fine because I was prioritizing the best things on our list. But we missed a couple of things on each park that we didn't really have the time because we were taking more breaks and all of that. Number 2, not researching enough about the trails. Yes, I just said that we did a lot of research on number 1 about things that we nailed it. But as I said on that one, we were really concerned about the views, and we didn't really dive into the specifics of each trail, like how many miles, what's the elevation, and not even that, what's the grade. Because I've never done a trail that had elevation before, because we're in Florida and the max elevation is gonna probably be 30 feet. So it's not that bad. You don't really have to plan for that. But when you go out west, the elevation is a little more steep. And we did a trail that was Hetch that the elevation was 2,500 feet. And it was awful. The grade was like 50, 60, and I was totally not prepared for that, especially because we're from Florida, as I said, and we're not really used to that much elevation, especially in the sun. We didn't have a lot of water, but either way, do research everything about the trail that you're gonna make, and also know yourself. You gotta know what's your pace, and what's your pace in certain elevation. You gotta know all those things so you can better prepare for each trail, so you don't go there thinking it's one thing and at the end of the day it's completely different. Number 3, this is something that I really regret doing during our trip, is that I focused more on the itinerary that we had created than enjoying the time that we were spending there. So I was really worried about the time. What time is it? How long is it gonna be to get to the other place? Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna be able to do all the things on the list? And instead of doing that, just enjoy. Just enjoy the place that you're in. Take your time. If it's a nice place, just look around, spend a little more time. It's okay. That was something that I struggled with. And I think that on the 3rd day, I was more understanding and a little more patient. And I was like, okay, we can take our time. We can enjoy this part of the trip instead of worrying about the next one. So when you try to take on everything at once, it feels like you're enjoying so much. But at the end of the day, you're overlooking everything and you're not really having the best experience that you could, because you're just worrying about the future and worrying about the next thing. Number 4, not asking the rangers the right questions. We did ask some questions, but you can get carried away when you're backpacking for the first time like us, and you're really excited and you just want to get out there and do it. But you should take a step back and know everything about that trail, ask the right questions. And I feel like the main things that you should ask that we didn't is, how's the water situation in the trail? Is any place dried up, a river, a waterfall? How's all the trails? Is there any place where the trail is blocked or the road is blocked? Is there anything that we should know prior to going to that trail? Is there any wildlife spotted in the trail? Because when we did the Tuolumne Meadows hike, the ranger did tell us that there was a bear site on that area about 2-3 days ago prior to our visit. And that helped us to just keep an eye out for wildlife and be more aware of our surroundings. And on the Hetch Hetchy hike, we did not ask about water or how the waterfalls were. And we ended up really struggling because all the first waterfalls before we reached Rancheria Falls were dried up because they were the result of snow melt, and it was fall, so all the snow had already melted and the waterfalls were empty. So ask the right questions so you can go into the hike with the right expectations and prepared. Number 5, never get into a trail without your water bottles being full. Because sometimes it's gonna take a while until you get to the first water point, and you don't know if it's gonna be too hot, if you're gonna need water to cook before you reach that water spot. So our Hetch Hetchy trail again, we went there with just one water bottle full, and the other one was empty, and we were planning to eat our lunch there in the trail. We got there at 12, and then we were planning to get there, have lunch, but as soon as we started hiking, there was no water. And for us to cook, we need water. And we didn't want to waste our water because we also need to drink water. So do we want to eat or do we want to drink water? So it was like a little conflict. And you don't want to go through that. So make sure you have plenty of water before you even start the trail, just in case anything happens. And also try to eat whatever meal you're gonna have at that period of day. So if you're starting your hike early in the morning, have breakfast right before you start the hike. Don't try to eat the breakfast in the hike, just in case. And same goes for lunch. I don't think you're gonna start a hike before dinner, so I'm just saying breakfast and lunch just in case. But yeah, that mistake was something that really ruined the whole experience for us on the Hetch Hetchy Trail. And if you're still curious about all the things we've been through on this Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Park trip, I'm gonna link the videos right here so you guys can see all the videos. I did vlogs, I did itinerary videos, and you guys can check everything on my national parks playlist. So I hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment. Just ask a few questions or maybe give advice to other people. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!